We're gonna wax lyrical here, so brace yourself, okay? £145 RRP, which is £20 more than Octarius 3 years ago, £5 less than Skaven Tide 3 months ago. 22 models, a tournament card pack, an accoutrement, sprue, core book, team book, accompanying token sheets for both of those, and possibly, the best terrain we've had in a Games Workshop box yet. Yet? Question mark? Obviously, Games Workshop sent me this box to review, which might make you think I will have a biased view. But you're thinking about it wrong, you're getting it twisted. I liked the game first, then they started sending me review copies. So the fact I already like Killteam and have a YouTube channel about it is kind of what gives away that this probably will be a biased view. Get it the right way round is all I'm saying. Although, on the flip side, I'm naturally very dour. So you legitimately might not realise I'm positive about Killteam in general, so, whatever. But thanks to G-Dubs for sending this to me for review. Although I am reviewing the box and who the box is for, Hivestorm, I will inevitably have to discuss the game itself as I've had a lot of time with it, and it's important to let you know if the product, the mechanics, and the message line up. This video is a blend of Hivestorm product review overview and Killteam mechanics because it's likely that this launch box will be many people's first look at the system. Everything else you see from me, the how to play videos on the other channel, the hobby journey, the lore readings, the team guides, everything were all recorded before this overview review, even though this is the first and possibly only video you'll actually see. So, it's said with a bit of thought behind it all, not to worry. These are my summaries, my final thoughts, but first, right? Also, who has time for however long this video ended up being? Here's the final say right up front. This is ultimately a great value box with brilliant terrain and 2 solid beginner teams that do a good job of exemplifying what Killteam is in broad strokes, even if they aren't to your personal taste. Right up front, I want to be super clear that this is not 40k skirmish. If you play this game, you are not secretly learning 40k. You are learning a totally different game. Let me dispel that notion for any beginners out there. Killteam is categorically not just a way for you to play with your 40k models in a light skirmish game mode with fewer rules to learn for when you don't have time for a full 40k game. It is entirely its own thing, it is not mini 40k. Understand that, my new beginner Padawan, and you'll do just fine. You get a lot of cool stuff, and I really can't find a reason to tell you to not buy this box. The only question is, if you don't like the teams, do you buy the box and eBay the teams, or buy the stuff you want off eBay? Because from what we've seen in the past, splitting the box up into teams, terrain, and accoutrement tends to be roughly the same price if you immediately buy on eBay or if you wait till official release from GW. So I say buy Hivestorm if you have any interest in Killteam as a game or as a hobby. It's a good set. Games Workshop does good launch sets, as we know, and where Octarius and Skaven Tide focus on getting you enough models to play a third of their game, in Hivestorm we get 2 full teams and a brilliant ruined urban city terrain set. Addendum. But I am a regular human relegated to corpse starch fat cleaning duty in the hives. I am not an Eldar Farseer, and this means I cannot see the future. Sad. There will 100% be a starter set, and I don't know what will be in those. Them, that, it, those. It is entirely possible that in 1 month's time I will change my thoughts and say that actually I recommend the starter set, not Hivestorm, because launch boxes are not in stock permanently. Starter sets are. Hivestorm is a launch box. The last Killteam starter set was legitimately one of Games Workshop's best value products. So my hopes are high enough for this edition starter set that they can only possibly be let down. But fingers crossed. Right, that's my final thoughts first, so if you're watching this the day of pre-orders and are on the fence, pause the video, secure that pre-order, then come back here. Or let's be honest, more likely, play this video as you wait in the queue. Okay, let's get into specifics. Oh, sorry, actually. But first, I'd like to give a subscriber-only benefit, and that comes in the form of a big double hello. Wow, so wholesome. Truly the wholesomeness knows no bounds in the world of Glass Half Dead. If you want a sweet AF, as foretold, double pleasantry in the next video, just like, subscribe and leave a comment. For this video, the comment can be a simple, have you bought Hivestorm, and are you a new player getting in with Hivestorm or a salty veteran like myself? I also have like a Patreon, you know, if you're that kind of chapess or chap-I that supports others in such a way. Oh, also, I've done like 10 videos about Hivestorm, so be sure to scour my channel for those during this week. This video is going live alongside the team overviews because that's what people expect day one. But also on my other channel, Tactical Skew, I have a 2-part how to play series, so check those out. It's from total beginner, how to move a model, read a data sheet, roll a dice, all the way up to tournament guidance. Okay, let's start with Kill Team as a whole and why I enjoy it, and very briefly if the updated rules help or hinder. Kill Team should be bringing the 40k universe into grim dark light and shining a torch on the narrative and theme of these units. To me, that's how any form of skirmish 40k has to be focused. Yes, it should be balanced, and if you see balance and think that means competitive in tournaments, then that's fine. But to me, the balance is there to facilitate theme. It's the old saying, if everything's overpowered, nothing is. And good, that's what I want in my skirmish 40k. I want all of my sneaky Spec Ops teams to be equally sneaky and equally the best of the best and equally overpowered and a little bit mental, but all in wildly different ways with the theme evoking that team. When I play the Tempestus Aquilons, they should feel one way, but then if I take the same models and play them as the Vespi, they should be unrecognisable. The mechanics should be so strong that even if we removed all models and played with paper tokens, there would be no mistaking Team A for Team B. The mechanics of the game should be there to tell me a story, spin a yarn, run a narrative train on me that cannot be ignored. As a writer, I believe that words are the enemy and are merely a tool to convey a story and elicit emotion. Well, for gaming, I feel the same. Mechanics are a tool that should convey a story. So the new Kill Team core rules. Are they a sleek scalpel of a tool making sick AF, as foretold, incisions of story direct into your brain, or are they a sledgehammer when you're actually trying to tighten a screw? So there's actually two answers here. For us salty veterans, you've been through a minefield of the last edition, horribly presented rules that demanded you to track down explanations, otherwise you were guaranteed to have been playing them wrong, let's be honest. Terminology that actively worked against itself, with the no cover special rule actually not removing cover, and free actions not being free at all. You needed a degree in cross-referencing technical documents to understand why two rules with a single word difference did wildly different things. You also started with an entire book of bland rules, leading people to think that's how the game is supposed to be, mini 40k. Bland and generic skirmish with few special rules and was mainly a dice game, frankly. Well buddy, let me tell you, the rules are the same. Nothing has changed. If you know how to play the last edition of Kill Team, you know how to play this edition of Kill Team. Everything is the same. So for you, for me, the game remains. We already went through that. We have our scars. Changing your mindset is going to be very hard. It's still a sledgehammer when we want to tighten a screw. But for new players, players who don't yet know the rules, oh baby, you got a scalpel in the hand of a surgeon. What we have here is what Kill Team was supposed to be, an edition play tested by the public for 3 years and has become its intent. Line of Sight has always been maligned by anyone coming into the game because it was a nightmare. Line of Sight was a full 2-page spread with mandatory examples that required reading all of it and cross-referencing with the shooting action to figure out not just if you have cover, but what does cover actually do. Here's Line of Sight for the new edition. 2 lines, and that is 90% of interactions. If you're new and playing your first game, this is all you need to know. You can figure out the gritty stuff later on, and the gritty stuff is identical, to be clear, but like I said, words are the enemy. They're just a tool to convey a story. This right here is telling you a story. In its presentation and language, it's telling new players how they want you to play this game. In its presentation alone, this edition of Kill Team is telling you to play a faster game with less hassle, and don't worry about it. If it matters, you can figure it out later. The rules are there, but those rules, that anal retentive way of playing, that isn't Kill Team. Kill Team is a game of story brought to life by mechanics that finally do themselves a favour and get out of your way so you can enjoy a team that focuses on hot dropping into the action in a way no other team does, or as a team of mind-controlled swarm bugs that are fighting in strongholds providing defensive bonuses when you're in them during this dense urban combat. By moving the complicated rules to the faction ability, by putting the definitions here and keeping the cards clean that define these new teams, high mental overheads, streamlined onboard gameplay. Compare that to mandrakes. Every operative has a novel to read on their card, and the mandrakes are still the same, to be clear. Every card an epic poem and might as well be written in iambic pentameter because wow, these suck to read. No, not read, look at. While I praise the presentation of the core book, I can't praise the presentation of everything, of course, I suppose. Oh well. Again, its presentation tells you a story. This is not a beginner wargame. It assumes you already know things. If you look at any other wargame book, the first pages define basics like what is a dice, how do you move a model, like physically, where do you measure from and to, what is an inch, how does a ruler work. It's slow going no matter how into it you are. But Killteam takes those and puts them behind the core rules. And you know what? Even though that is them assuming knowledge, I actually think it makes the core book better for beginners. Most people get into wargaming through someone else. Moving a base, how to read a dice, you know, these things. And that's how Killteam's presentation works. It hides knowledge, it gives it to you when you actually need it. Presentation in the form of giving you solo and co-op in the core rules. These aren't some weird half-baked random afterthought. Do you know how important putting into a wargame core book co-op is? Telling people that hey, you actively support working together, and the very notion that wargaming can be relaxed fun with friends instead of a competitive head-to-head? That alone says more than anything else Games Workshop is pushing in their other systems, where they push harder towards more competitive, more tournament, more cutthroat, more don't waste your time, you useless Care Bear, PvP is the only game we play? To put PvE into the core rules? All I see is Killteam screaming as loud as it can that it wants you to enjoy the game, gather round with friends, put on a brew, marmites and crumpets, put the world to rights among friends. It's right there between the black and white, between the lines, it's telling you how to play it. It's up to us if we listen or not. Now look, because of all that lyrical waxing, is Killteam Hivestorm worth your purchase? Unequivocally yes. It's a more beginner friendly game, and what is the number one must have in a war game? Other players. The last edition did a terrible job of allowing new players to enter the game and would trip over itself to shove its mechanics in your face to slow you down and stop you from having fun and enjoying the story it was trying to tell. I predict we will see a clean delineation of players that get into the game from this edition compared to last edition. And God, I hope us veterans can get out of new players' ways and not drag them into our way of thinking. Let new players enjoy their streamlined explanations, please. Yes, the rules are the same, but let the way of thinking about control range work. Let line of sight work. If you feel the need in your first game to put out a laser line, take a step back and think about what you're doing with your life. Laser lines are fun gadgets, but buddy, they're for tournament sweat, not casual learning games. The new rules are telling you that. Listen to them. The teams are good, by the way. Packed with theme, check out my other videos for more on them. Recommending teams is always so hard because it's so personal. Step 1, do you think they look good? If yes, buy them. If no, don't buy them. There's one step. Nothing else matters in recommending a team. They're two good beginner teams that will do a good job of teaching you the core of Killteam. Vespids are very strong, just blatantly on their datasheet. Aquilons rely on their hot drop shenanigan for their strength, and once dropped they are pretty underwhelming. If you're sharing the box, I'd say the Vespids have more longevity, are simpler to play, stronger, beginner friendly, and will go further in tournaments. The Aquilons have the advantage of thematically being generic Imperium, and so being super easy to proxy and convert into any guard regiment or Cassicans. In fact, if you have Cassicans, you basically have this team. You just need to add one guy with a knife. The terrain took me a while to decide on. I liked Octarius because it wasn't generic Imperium and it ended up being a great Killteam board to play on. But if you stop and think about it, it's literally just 4 L shapes and an incredibly annoying oil rig. It could be combined to be a single building in 40k, which is cool. Vulcus is as generic Imperium as you can get, although for me personally, the Ruined City theme is better than AdMech stuff, cool. The 2 big buildings come in a single block, so they have to be played like that. You can't split them in half. Stronghold versus stronghold fight must occur. It looks good and it functions well with lots of heavy terrain to let you hide from snipers. It does a great job of feeling like a ruined city. Go and watch some war movies, get hyped on that urban fighting, enemy at the Golden Gates, saving Private Ryan or Black Valkyrie down, Blackadder goes forth, and then come back here and replay it on the board as your operatives dart between rubble before storming the building the enemy are holed up in. The books are fine, standard softback. If you buy the core book separately, it comes in hardback, which I think is nicer. The tokens are all good, having benefited from a graphic design redo, so it's nice, you know, it's all looking new and flashy, and there's a nice thick card stock that will last you plenty of games. The equipment sprue is nice and looks cool and pushes the theme of Kill Team is supposed to be something that tells a story and is cinematic. As you can tell, I did my usual of going overboard and put everything onto 20mm markers so that I can use the cool models, but also be accurate on measurements. The mat itself, I'm a fan purely because on this side of the board, it has built-in artwork marking out the deployment zones, which are very simple, as they are always 3 inches on the long edge, 6 inches on the short edge. Love that. Very cute for us. But this is honestly great. Downside for me is that I prefer boards that pack up into 8s instead of quarters, because the quarter folding board is basically impossible to travel with. It makes storing things harder. As prophesized, let's touch on some negatives. So my only true negatives are actually focused not on this box specifically, but on the rules. Again, I cannot fault Hivestorm as a standalone product. It has everything you need in one purchase. It's a full and complete game that could be your only purchase for Kill Team ever, and it's pretty exemplary at that. And as rules for other teams are free online, you can easily view this as your first purchase, and then once you know what you're doing with this box, check out the other rules for other teams and view them as fun expansions to this, which is kind of the core set, if you will. So my negatives are gripes about the rule set that I think actively detract from how the game is presenting itself compared to how it will end up playing on the table. Volcus is an awesome kill zone which really takes everything they learned from last edition and puts it into one. We've got doors, we've got enclosed environments, we've got multiple levels, we've got lots of heavy terrain, a scattering of light. It's great. What isn't great is how this is going to get used in tournaments. I call this toe-in shenanigans. I hate them. As GW creates beautiful models, they of course require details, and Volcus has details, but the line of sight system, as written, lets you abuse those details. I genuinely think this is an active negative to the rule set. We don't all get the best intro partner to the game. Some people are going to be taught the game by a sweatlord who will hide the base of their model in some of these nooks and crannies, and the beginner is never going to return to Kill Team because this toe-in shenanigan is, quite frankly, the biggest load of bullshit in any Games Workshop game. And what makes it worse is that they already solved this problem on Into the Dark. In fact, even worse, they added a keyword to this new edition called exposed terrain, and it would have taken them all of 5 minutes to put a template over 2 Volcus strongholds and said, the walls outside of these outlines count as exposed terrain. But they haven't done that. And therefore, they want you to do toe-in shenanigans. Again, you've got to read between the black and white. Very sad. Pour one out for the new players who get introduced this way. We then have primary and secondary objectives. This has become a colloquial term for objectives. You have the main mission and the bonus. The way Games Workshop calls this in all of their games is you share the primary mission and you have your own secondary. Kill Team has decided to screw with this. So when you say the primary objective, obviously meaning the primary objective that you share, which is the objectives on the board that you need to tap, you've said the wrong thing. That's the critical objective. Look, it's no big deal. They chose to call it the critical objective, just like the secondary objective that is actually called a TAC-op, but whatever, all good. No, incorrect, wrong. Because they took the word primary objective and used that elsewhere. So, now when you say primary objective, you mean this, but you've referenced another rule. Just a huge oversight that is a bit silly after they cleaned up other terminology. It kind of reeks of, oh, well, technically this is the primary objective because you can score the most from it. When actually nobody cares about that. We're talking about the shared objective, but whatever. It's fine, it's too late, screwed up. And honestly, let's be clear. If that's the only complaint I have about a new edition, pretty bloody good job really, isn't it? Everything else that could go wrong is down to how the community, battered and scarred from the previous edition, decides to update their mindset and run with it, or ignore it for what they've already internalized. And that's the end of this review, overview, whatever, of Kill Team as a new edition and Kill Team Hivestorm, because again, you cannot talk about Kill Team Hivestorm without talking about the fact that it comes with a whole new core rulebook. It's a product that you can buy, but it's also a whole rule set that you have to internalize. So you kind of have to look at 1 and 2 at the same time. Anyway, if you made it to the end of the video, I would like to firstly give you a thank you. And that thank you obviously comes in the form of a big triple hello. Wow, so wholesome. Truly the wholesomeness knows no bounds in the world of Glass Half Dead. And that is a gift from me to you. If you want to like, subscribe, leave a comment, that'd be really cool. Remember to stay hydrated. That's a big tip. Another, that's my thank you in return, a tip. Also, I would like to say, again, I've done a lot of videos for Hivestorm. This is the final one I'm recording. Thank gosh. Woo! Do go check out my other channel, Tactical Skew, if you want to watch some how to plays. I think it did a pretty good job on them. Apart from that, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about Hivestorm. Have I hit the nail on the head? Is this good, or am I blinded by my biases? Let me know. Anyway, Andy out. Bye.